my dear Aquarius. This is your love and spirituality reading for the month of September 2018 with me, Queen of Cups Tarot. We are entering Virgo seasons, so happy birthday all Virgos out there. And I read for the signs in order of most liked video, so don't forget to hit the thumbs up button for your sign. You can see the order I read in this time around at the community section of my channel if you scroll down a little bit. And this reading can go both ways, so if I tell you that you are feeling or acting in a certain way, it can be in the reverse, that the person you are dealing with is feeling and acting in that way. The energy is the same, it's just different castings to the different roles by the universe. For this reading, I will use the Druid Craft Tarot by Philip and Stephanie Carr-Gomm, illustrated by Will Worthington, and I will start shuffling your cards. So, interesting. When I open your deck here, I see Death, number 13, and the Star, number 17. So this is major arcana cards. So it kind of says that there's major energies, destiny, divine interference, or a great ascension energy hitting your life right now. The Star card is Aquarius also, and the Death card is Scorpio. So some of you might be having destinies that's similar to Scorpio's, or maybe together with Scorpio. Scorpio is transformation from water to fire, fire to water, eagle to swan, swan to eagle, and the bird phoenix process, of course. So it's about transformation and ascension. Okay, so I call the divine with love and light, and here we have the Five of Pentacles with the Star card. So it's something here that makes you feel unworthy or unloved or alienated in some way, like you are not allowed to participate or nobody wants you. Yes, this can be the experience of many people. It doesn't mean that you have been unloved in your life, but we can often feel, I can hear many people saying that they feel like they don't belong, or they feel like no one wanted them in this life anyway. Okay, even if they have had loving parents that's made them survive to grown age, this is the feeling that many people have, and this is kind of the feeling I'm feeling here holding your card. So I'm thinking many of you will have to like review your life and maybe come to this conclusion that, okay, so I have never felt really wanted. I have never felt like anyone needed me, or that I was of like particularly good use in this life. Maybe you have felt like you have excused me for existing, a little bit like this. And I'm thinking it's just a feeling. It might be a remedy from a past life. For example, what came to mind here was something I saw, like a documentary of people that had made very excruciating crimes. I'm very interested in that and want to understand what makes a person become kind of evil. So, and this person's experience was, I was kind of feeling their past life, and I think that they have been executed in past lives and felt like they never belonged, and the crimes in the next life was kind of a continuation of what they already were onto, but also it was expression of them not feeling wanted. So it was like revenge on not being wanted. It's not something I still can't relate to, but I see that people are reacting different to this. Some people make it about them, like, okay, so I'm unworthy, it's something wrong with me, and other people become revengeful and thinks it's something wrong with them for not liking me, and I will make them pay. So it can be different energies. So it might be that you're dealing with someone that feels alienated, like out in the cold. Okay, so I call the four archangels in the four corners of the world, and here we have the lady with the Star card. So of course the feminine aspect has almost been like erased from the world history and the world religions. It's like, well, there's no females here. We haven't seen any females. They are to no use. So this has been like this for many thousands of years. But this is, of course, changing. It's more females in the workforce, more females on colleges and things like this. So the power of the feminine is no longer restrained in the same way that it might have been before, but it can still come with a certain sense of unworthiness. Like even with inside male people, I'm not supposed to cry, I'm not supposed to have feelings, I'm supposed to work even if my knee hurts, or I am supposed to be this, I'm supposed to be that. That all is like non-feminine. We can hear this sometimes also in regular speak when people say, well, I'm no I'm no pussy. I'm sorry for the cursing, but it says that you are kind of a weak person, that can't, you're not brave enough. But females are really brave, and they sacrifice their own body to give us life, and still we can't respect this feminine aspect and give it its righteous place in the world. It's like this energy is super scary for people. Like the pink is scary, and having skirts, it's super scary. And I'm thinking what we are scared of is something that we are not allowed to embrace. It's a part of us that we are not allowed to love. So it might have to do with the body, or your emotions, for example, or sensory perceptions. It might have to do with love, showing vulnerability and love, things like this. It's if we have had a big warrior culture, of course we are not supposed to feel love or empathy. How can we then kill our enemy, and how can we alienate ourselves enough or them to make this happen? But I'm thinking this is definitely changing here, and this needs to start with you. So when you start to love yourself, like really love yourself and align with yourself, no matter what you think that other people thinks of you, it doesn't really matter. What matters is how you feel inside of your temple, like this. This is your soul going down in this temple, and how does it feel? So make that into a beautiful place to be in, no matter what the outside. How can you do that? First, you stay, of course, with the pain or the feeling of being an outsider. Just stay with that. Be like the ambulance coming, holding the patient's hand. So you don't have to be afraid of the patient because it has pain or because it's screaming. You can just stay with it anyway. And, attention is love. Attention is healing. When you put your light of attention on like feeling alienated, for example, or cast out in the cold, you are healing this aspect. And the other thing to do is to feel gratitude for the very small things, like the beautiful candle lights here. I can feel gratefulness for them. It's also wonder how a spark like the fire there can be held contained like that. It's a very wild power, but it can also be used in that way for light and warmth to some degree. And you can also be grateful for the sun in your face, take very similar, like simple things. The deep breath inside your lungs, how that relaxes you. So this frequency vibration of gratefulness, it's something that you own. You are not owing anyone this energy of gratefulness. It's something you own that puts you in a beautiful frequency vibration of the divine, the heavens, and inner peace and paradise. So if you can do both these things, deal with your pain, be the ambulance, but also raise your vibration with gratitude. Gratitude for the beautiful orange that you peel and its smell, or the water that you drink, or the breakfast that you just had. I call the 6 elements, and here we have a 3 of wands. So 3 of wands, 3, the emperor's lady, and here the star card seems to be the significant card here, and it's about raising your vibration, raising the significance, or it's like scientific. The star card is very scientific, very Tesla. And here you have the Three of Wands. It's the Empress or the Lady in combination with fire. So it's a masculine element in the divine feminine. So the masculine element of your soul, or the soul's spark, or the soul's ignition. Masculine element is like, this element is like an arrow, a direction. So the feminine here has a direction, a purpose, and a mission. You need to figure out what that might be. Don't stress. But it's something, it's like you have a life purpose here waiting for you, and you kind of know what it is. But it's with the Five of Pentacles, it might be that you feel like, no, it's too much, or I'm not allowed to, or I'm thinking too highly of myself, or this cannot be, and I'm imagining. But the Three of Wands is very relentless. It's like, no, this is where we are going now, so sorry. And it might be, we have had this pendulum moving very very far towards the divine masculine, and like examining the masculine realm, and this pendulum is starting to move back towards the feminine realm. So it's also talking about feminine things will become more a priority. Before, if someone talked about the environment, people laughed, and that person was like, go out, we don't need your environment, we need the jobs, don't talk about the environment here. And if people were talking about like the rights for everyone to have the right to their own body, like their own sexuality, being identifying maybe with any gender, this was also like, no, you're crazy, this is like sinful, you can't speak about those things. Or it could be like showing empathy, or talking about taking care of each other. I saw a video the other day, a person that was an American that has been in Sweden for a while, and said 5 things that shocked him about Sweden. And after that, it came like a notice for me to watch another video where he was answering a lot of negative comments about this video. And the negative comments seem to be about like people being vegan, or like being or altruistic, like taking care of each other in a healthcare system and things like this. It was obviously very controversial, and it shouldn't be controversial to not want to eat other animals, or to want to take care of other people. But some people get very, very scared about this divine feminine that's entering. Like, should we really care about that other person? It feels very strange for me. Before we didn't do this, what's have changed? So it's I think the change might be the thing that scares people the most. And for you, Aquarius, you hold kind of both, because Aquarius is very masculine, but you're also Tesla future, and the future holds the feminine. So you are going to work very intensely with this, is what I'm feeling here. So I forgot where I were, but the 6 elements, earth, wind, fire, water, spirit, and ether, to join us here today and to give us a clear view reading for my dear Aquarius viewers. So I want my dear Aquarius to have love in their lives, and to find themselves in loving relationships. And I also want you to have creative success, and to be able to walk on your highest path towards your highest destiny. Okay? So I'm just tuning into you, Aquarius, now, and September. So my dear Aquarius, this is your future, your bright, shiny future. And this is you right now there. So October, September, and this is summertime, and we have the Tower here. So all the things like what I just said, should we really care about other people? Shouldn't they like take care of themselves? Isn't that their fault that they became sick? Like this guy said, having cancer, and like being, so if you survive, you have a debt of like $500,000 if you were lucky enough to survive. In Sweden, you wouldn't be owing anyone anything because we have this healthcare system. So ideas like this, the old ideas that was comfortable because it made me feel safe is being eroded, and it's being eroded by time and evolution and flashes of insight, and also not only evolution but also revolution, because sometimes revolution comes and evolution comes after revolution, because a revolution is someone like a shaman has seen something that is important, and it makes a revolution together with other shamans, and then after that everyone can see this thing. Oh yes, of course, people should have equal rights, but usually, like in the back scenes, the people with the tower, like the very selfish people, sometimes sociopaths, still are able to take back the power because people are too nice. We are a little bit too nice, and we are bowing before people with great authority. So Aquarius also have a responsibility here to become very clear individual authorities. Like in their own life, you need to stand up for what you believe in, even if you don't think that other people will love this, because you hold the light for the rest of us, so we can walk after you into the new age, okay? Age of Aquarius, okay? So you can't bend your head to fit into society. You need to be the shaman that sees the way ahead and maybe makes a little bit of a revolution. So, okay, that's not easy to do this, to go against like what people you love think, or the group you want to be a part of. But sometimes this is the way forward. And here we have a Prince of Swords. So that is you defending what matters in your life, like what lies really close to your heart. And you might have to do this with some revolution. Imagine this, that you have a total different opinion about something than your, let's say, your father-in-law. Okay, usually you let him speak and you hold your tongue. You don't share your opinion because you don't want to have a fuss around the dinner table. But then one day, slowly, you start to share your opinion and show him that there's another way of seeing this. And it will probably cause some trouble in your life. And it might be like even be really, it might be really difficult, because it might put your marriage in a difficult spot, because you don't no longer, pretend like you agree with something that you don't agree with. And maybe this, your partner says, but God, did you have to? You know how my father is. Did you have to bring that up? Yes, I'm the Aquarius change in the world, so I had to bring it up. So that can be a little bit hard, but you still need to do it. And it's a Prince of Swords, so it's a quite young energy, young revolutionary, my way or the highway kind of energy. So it might not be all that diplomatic all the time. And I think that maybe it can't in this, when it's fresh like this, maybe it can't. It will be with rough edges, and you might cause havoc and distress. But when an energy is born, it's usually very edgy like this, and eventually it will become more diplomatic. The first time you say no to someone, you will do that with all the force of all the times you didn't say no. So the person will maybe have, problem with hearing after that. And that's because it was so hard for you to go over that line, to start to say no to things you really didn't want. And now this is coming, either you want it or not. It might, of course, be this grumpy father-in-law also, not liking what this revolution that's going on, like the last cry of the dinosaurs. The many says that the Trump voters, for example, might have been the last cry of the dinosaurs. But I think it's some other truth to that. When people feel very helpless, they say, okay, so look here, we send in the Trojan horse. What do you like about this? So it's some kind of, I don't think people are unintelligent. They really aren't. They are just sometimes feel very like they don't have any saying, okay? And this person, he feels probably that he doesn't have any saying, so he goes in like this Trojan horse here. So you might both experience it and do it. So I'll change the lighting a little bit. It is this kind of day when the clouds go over the house, and then it's very, very sunny and very bright, and everything becomes in big contrast, and then comes clouds and gets really dark. So it's a little bit like this weather here. Okay, so that's your September, and this is your future October, and we have Ace of Swords. So Ace of Swords is like your mission, blood, sweat and tears, victory at last. So it says that it's not going to be easy, but you need to start to say what you really mean. If you're standing with your neighbor, for example, and you know that they hit their child the day before, someone called the cops, you can't really just stay there and talk about the weather. You need to say, okay, what happened yesterday? If it's something we can do, can we help you in some way? What is happening with your boy? And you know, things like this. Start to care about the people in your surrounding, and you know, butt your nose in a little bit, instead of, you know, people being raped in the subway with no one reacting. So it takes bravery from you, and it will probably not be comfortable at all. And it's what's asked of you. Many will heed this call and other won't, and we continue feeling like, no, I can't say anything about this, it's not my thing, I'm not involved in this, and that's okay too. But many will be called, and many will also answer, but there will be others that can't answer just now because they need to maybe take another lap on this, because they have before they have enough momentum, maybe, like it needs to feel right if you are to do it, but it will come to a point where you can't stop yourself from doing it, and that's when it's the right time. Then you know you are like backed up by the divine also in this situation. And here we have the Magician. So the Magician is Mercury. It might also be like this flash of insight that we have here that kind of caused the tower to rubble. It's a little bit like this shaman. You might see things first that's not particularly convenient for the rest of society, for your family, when you start to point out things that, well, it has been this all this time, and why do you have to come and, you know, poke in this? Can't you let it be as it has always been? But probably not. So Magician has all the elements on the table here, so they don't think that, well, I can just use the sword and the wand here. No, they can use their emotions as well, and earth here, suddenly taking care of the environment, showing like interest to take care of the environment or the feminine. So the feminine elements is also allowed to be used. They are not like they have the same dignity as the two other aces. And here we see also the Lord. So the Magician and the Lord is very masculine here, but this is sometimes the energy that you need to use also as the divine feminine to put the ball in roll. It's like the arrow that I was talking about, the masculine soul energy, the ignition. You might want to be like passive and you know, be friendly with the people around you. You don't want to cause havoc and distress, but here comes this very masculine energy asking you to be very stubborn, to kind of not cave, to point with your whole hand, go in the direction to where you want to go, and, you know, never look back. So it's a very intense energy. For some of you, it might be like a masculine person or a person with a masculine approach came into your life with some kind of message that was might have been shocking. It might be someone calling from the blue and, you know, should we take a coffee? So, and you haven't seen them for years and you're just, what? Like this. But it might also be someone coming with a bright new idea or something else that's a little bit shocking. Even if this person didn't have like the best intentions, it still was some kind of starting point, some kind of ignition for what will happen next. So it's like I felt when the Twin Tower was happening, I was shocked, and I felt this is the beginning of something new. It was like the start shoot of something. I felt like also a little bit of how can I say this, like anticipation, because I know that something was going to start now that would change the world forever. And I don't mean terrorism. I think terrorism is something that politicians and very rich people use to make people scared, because say that there dies around, say it's like 1,000 people a year, maybe it's 100 Americans a year dying from terrorism, and it's, if you point it out over the years, I think it's about 500,000 Americans dying from heart disease, and yet you have this much money being spent on heart disease and this much money being spent on terrorism. You can't, it goes out off the chart, okay? So it's not about your health or your longevity. It's about other things, to be, yeah, to have more power and control. I don't talk about it. I don't mean terrorism, that this was the new thing. It was more this wakening up to seeing the world for real. And, you know, you can't trust authority anymore. To be the one before, like on the 50s, for example, after the Great War, the Second World War, the societies, the countries, the country was, it was like they were our parents, they were our fathers, and took care of us, okay? They built beautiful societies for us, but more and more comes in this greediness that was maybe in the beginning of the 1900th century, like 1901, yeah, you know, also the big depression, I think, was made by big corporation, and this energy has come back after the Second World War. We loved each other again, and we said no, never, no more. Now we will take care of each other. We will make the UN, and we will never have a war again, because this was how we felt. But then slowly this energy came in again, like the greed, and I'm thinking this is what's people are starting to seeing, that there is no authority that looking out for you. If you are letting authority rule you, they will take advantage of you. So that's so you're growing up to become your own individual authority. And here we have Prince of Wands, so that's kind of the arrow. And I said it again, for some of you, it will be like a person wants to date you, or a person comes with an offer of maybe some kind of adventure or some kind of project or mission. And that was the ignition for you. In some way, it's the starting point. Even if you hated this, whatever the offer was, it kind of put the agenda for the rest of the time. For example, you saw something very clearly with that person, or it was like I'm feeling it's like this race where you are running, and you have this wand in your hand and you're giving it to the next person. So I'm thinking it's the divine masculine giving the divine feminine this stick, okay, so you can take over the race. And it has something to do with this standing up for things that you didn't dare to stand up for before. It's very sure here. So you have gotten the energy of being very sure. So now we have this light coming in again, but I hope it won't be too distracting. It's like the glare in the cards that can be the big problem. So, and here we have the now. So it's 10 of Swords. So you didn't like this, what happened. So it's kind of an event like the Twin Tower, but maybe in your personal life, that you something that you didn't believe could happen, or something that you couldn't believe that this person could do, or I feel like something has sinking like above the standard that you can tolerate, and something else is rising in the same time inside of you, and wants to express itself. So the 10 of Swords is your old survival skills. It's like don't pretend that your neighbor is quarreling. Talk about the weather and like rise above your father-in-law's speech about this, what you really can't tolerate, all these things will go out the window. It's your old survival skills, like your old conditioning. It's like the crutch that you have had to walk through life in a way that was kind of peaceful, but in the same time you didn't really stick up for what you believed in, and you didn't show your full strength or authority. And here it comes, and I'm feeling freakishly scared when I'm holding this card, so I guess you will too. It's not easy for me. This would be like maybe telling people what I really think about what they are doing to the environment, like also to my neighbors maybe, that I truly like, okay, but they are taking down the forests, they are using up all the natural resources in form and shape of mountains and sand, like the old ice age hills is being used as resources, and I don't really like that. It actually put tears in my eyes. So this would be the thing for me, and it would be super scary. So I understand this kind of fear to have to not be, that you can't be like really nice anymore and pet the person the right way and say, well, I guess that you're doing this for a good reason. No, you have to say that I don't like this at all. I would like you to not do this. And if everyone did this, like talked from their heart, I guess there would be more forests and more hills left in the world, okay? So, and here we have Two of Wands. So Two of Wands is a holding energy. It's someone holding their horses, holding back this what they want to say or wants to express or want to do. So it's a moment of holding your breath. So it will take, it's kind of, maybe it's not time just yet. You are feeling this energy. You have Prince of Wands, Princess of Swords. This is like a warrior energy. It will be very hard to keep this as like hold this in, but you're holding it. So this is self-control. So I'm thinking you're waiting for the exact right time. It's like a shift going on here from you being very subordinate maybe, and you know, trying to agree with people and have consensus, and here you're still thinking like this would be the best way. It's not a submissive energy. This it's an energy of thinking things through in the most rational and adult way. So I don't think this is a bad thing. It's you're thinking this through, you're pondering it, and it's you're doing it so with a lot of your wisdom. So it's not a bad thing. It's just you're waiting, figure things out here, like holding this. Okay, I feel very angry with my neighbor here, but should I really, or shouldn't I? Maybe I should hold my tongue here. And then at some point in different situations, there will come like an ignition. Like you will just say it out of the blue. You weren't really expecting it. You were trying to maybe hold your teeth before your tongue, but it comes out here. And it doesn't have to be just, bad things. It doesn't have to be, it can be also, even if I don't see it really here, but sometimes it can be expression of love. Because this was a little bit what I felt here, that someone might want to express their love, but they are going to do so in a very clumsy way, because this is how they usually deal with things, like being very rational and reasonable. So to suddenly go and say to someone, well, I love you with all my heart, is like, it's like nails on the the blackboard. So also the person that maybe have waited to hear this will feel embarrassed, because it's so out of character for this person to do this. So it will be like, oh God, everyone around this person wants to sink beneath the soil, and red in their face. And no, he can't really have said that. Did he said that he loved you? Well, that's very strange. I have never heard him say anything like that. How did that feel? Well, I got really shocked, the tower there. So this is going both ways. Like one person, it's this like giving over the stick. Like now, okay, we have done the race as far as we could, and this is the mess that we're leaving over to you. I hope you can do a better job. I think the kind people will take over the earth. and that could be very promising for us if nice people stop being quiet but actually told what they really thought about things. And here we have the Prince of Cups. So this was the love that I sensed, that someone might, you know, I can't bear being the soldier anymore. It has been so heavy for me. So I'm giving it up. From now on, I will cry when I'm hurt. I will tell you if I love you. I will express how I feel. I will. So it's a very beautiful energy, but it might cause a little bit havoc in the world. I have seen the Tower with almost every sign I have read for here. So it might be something big going on the world arena as well. Prince of Swords, Princess of Cups. For others of you, it won't be this cute, okay? With this, it's like someone has attacked a village and killed off its inhabitants, okay? And the people that lives in this village needs to have the fence up, okay? This is not going to happen to us anymore. From now on, we are defending ourselves. We are not going as lamb to the slaughterhouse. For some reason, I'm thinking about the concentration camps and the Jews. If everyone would have run, they were like rallying them up to the trains that would take them to the concentration camp, and they probably knew that something not so good would happen. So if everyone would have run in every different direction or jumped the soldiers, probably what we have experience now wouldn't have happened, and the old karmic wheel that has been rolling like this in this region for these people for thousands and thousands of years. The first time I heard about this conflict, like with Palestine and Israel, that's that they're called right now, is like 3,500 years ago. Then Egypt was owning the land of Canaan, and the land of Canaan was writing to the Pharaoh and said, the Hittites are coming, they are taking our land, they are raping, they are decapitating, you need to do something. But I think that it was Akhenaten that was holding the rule of Egypt at that time, and he was more into spiritual things and, you know, taking in the shadow and becoming like going through the enlightenment process. So he didn't have time with any wars, and eventually they wrote a letter and said, well, you don't have to send the troops. Canaan has already fallen into the hands of the enemies. And that was kind of the Jews that went in and did this. And then the Jews were attacked during the Second World War, and at many, many other occasions. They have been really victimized after this. And then now they are doing the same thing. The Jews, like the Israelites, are doing the same thing against the Palestinians that they once were done to themselves by the Germans, like they are in concentration camps and all these kind of things. And here it's like an energy is arising that says, no more, okay? We won't take this no more. Even if we are going to die at this spot, we can't continue repeating this karma, because it's also on the victim to stop the abuse, okay? It's not just the abuser that needs to stop. It's also the victim that needs to say, no more. This will happen to us no more. Even if we need to sacrifice our lives, this is going to happen no more. Like the Jews would have run in all different directions instead of jumping on the trains. So this is just allogates. I'm not saying that you will be sent to concentration camp. I'm just saying that I'm just trying to show how different history would have been if people would have had their own authority. Instead of being lambs being brought to slaughterhouse, they would stand up for what they feel is right in their heart. And this is what I'm seeing happening here with Aquarius. Okay, so you are going to lead this little bit of battle to free the perpetrator and tyrant needs victims, and victims needs a tyrant. And if you refuse to be a victim anymore, there will be no more tyrants. It will be an end to it. You can see this example with in India. The British Empire had the whole of India, and how they got it is a story in itself. They said it will be very hard to take India because people love each other there, and there's not even petty theft, okay? They have this religion that's so intense. So if you want to take the country, you need to demoralize them. You need to make them turn against each other. They were semi-successful with this, but then Gandhi says, and no, we are not going to be your slaves. And they went forward one after another to the British soldiers that clubbed them down. And eventually the soldier said, I can't club down another person. I'm done with this. I won't do it. And then India was free. So maybe this is India, okay, Queen of Wands. This very spiritual energy that is equally warm and loving towards you as they are towards themselves. So it's like a very sure energy. Yes, they have their fire here, but also the red passion of, it's like I'm feeling this warmth, generosity, high spirituality. We have the Magician, Ten of Swords, and Queen of Wands. In that combination is probably someone that's a little bit angry. It might even be violence. Gandhi did a revolution without any violence. Here it might be like a little bit violent, at least with words maybe. Like someone would say, enough is enough. And you won't be able to do this to me anymore. And it's Mercury, and it's enough, and it's very brave. So this is an energy you can't really halt. And we have the Lord here, Aries. This is usually also Aries. So it's very strong-headed, pig-headed a little bit. And here we have the Six of Swords. So this is the healing journey that we are doing, and it's the Lord, the Two of Wands, and the Six of Swords. So it's kind of admitting what's in the heart, admitting the truth. The truth shall set you free. First it might piss you off or make you really sad, but then it should set you free. So I'm feeling again this relief, like someone saying what has been in their heart all this time, but they try to hold like maybe a mask in this row. It's like a mask. I pretend I don't have feelings. I pretend it didn't hurt. I pretend I don't care. I pretend I don't suffer. I pretend I don't agree with you. So it's a very male, stubborn energy. But here it's kind of, I feel a big sigh of relief. Like I can speak the truth now. The truth is I love you. The truth is I am hurt. The truth is I don't have it in me to, keep up the charade anymore. I don't have it in me to carry this burden anymore, or this responsibility, just for the sake of, being untouchable, or being rigid, or being all powerful, or, not feeling any feelings. I know this, it can't go on. I feel my feelings. It's the truth. So everything else up till now has been kind of a lie for me to keep status quo, for me to keep things as they were, because I was so scared of the unknown. Here is the water and the swords in combination. So it's like the scientific rose of your heart is expressing itself. It's also the time like when you just have died, or you are in the dying process, and you are seeing your life in review, and you're finding out one thing or two that you could have done better. So this is the moment. And it's not like guilt. It's more like, well, this would have been so simple to do this. Why didn't I? Why didn't I just hug my children, or tell them I love you? Or why didn't I say that I was sorry to that person? I were truly sorry, but just because I thought that I would be hurt if I said I'm sorry, I didn't. So it's a beautiful energy here, and and in this row it's also very strong. Here it's more like this sigh, giving up the power. So I'm feeling again this with the twitch, like people sending over the stick here. So, and here we have the Three of Swords. So Three of Swords is usually very old trauma and old pain that needs to be dealt with. Sometimes, for example, if a person have been holding in a lot of things in their heart, they will have heart disease, and they might need a heart surgery. But when the heart surgery is done, the heart is freed from this thing, and it goes back to the person that put it there, so your mind probably. And sometimes a heart surgery can be very heavy for the patient psychologically, from a psychologically point of view. Like you can get really depressed because all the things that you put in your heart, like deal with this, I can't, deal with this, I can't, deal with this, I can't, will come back like a boomerang, and you need to deal with it because your heart can't hold it anymore. It's healthy now. So if you wanted to get like hurt again, you can of course do the process all over again to deny, and you will put the same stuff there and, you know, undo the work of the surgeon that took you to theater and healed your heart. So you can like undo their work by putting everything there. Or you can take this hurt, it doesn't have to be a heart surgery, it can be like being heartbroken just, and the old pain that you have felt so many times before and being kind of successful with putting away, like master it, but now it comes to surface and it wants to be healed. So take your pain seriously this time, listen to it, follow the advice from the pain. Sometimes the advice can be just to cry. Sometimes the pain just needs you to hold its hand and being the staff of the ambulance that comes and take care of the patient instead of, you know, everyone driving by and ignoring it. Oh, so someone is lying dying there. I'm trying to not feel it because it's kind of uncomfortable. I don't want to hear this quarrel between the child next door and their parents. I'm ignoring that too. I'm not an ambulance driver, but in this case you're asked to be one. Here comes the ambulance to this Three of Swords. So you need to start to give attention to the things that you usually don't want to give attention to. And you might need to also tell people around you that you really hurt me now. That was excruciating, the pain that you just threw my way. But you're free to do whatever you want. But I just want to know how it hit me. So keeping it real, basically. Like just keeping it real. Not becoming like... you still need to be strong and take very good care of yourself. Like this. See the truth, but not letting it break you. So even if people are passing by, even the ambulance is passing you by, and you're lying there crying in the dirt, you don't have to, you know, become a victim. Then stand and take care of yourself instead. So you always have yourself as a resource. If other people aren't just there to help you in this situation, help yourself. So when you help yourself, this will mirror in the outside world and other will help you. If no one helps you, it means that you don't help yourself. You make yourself into a helpless victim and then nobody will help you. So, as I said, also the victim needs to end this circle of karma. That's why the karma hits not only the perpetrator, it also hit the victim. So the victim and the perpetrator will be an endless dance to solve the karma. It's both needs to free themselves. Not only the perpetrator needs to pay the price, the victim also needs to be able to show that, okay, I can take care of myself. I can do this. I can protect myself. I know how we do this. So the karma goes both ways, and it might feel unjust, but it's because we need to grow up and become adults, able to take care of ourselves. So Ace of Swords, it seems like your mission is to keep the truth, keep it real, even if it's very, very painful. Okay, so it's like you're going through this death process a little bit here, but not so much like with dying, but more like this, getting this epiphany with what you would get when you leave this place, and the people that have watched you from afar come and says, oh, I saw this, how you were struggling here. I was trying to get through with this message, but you never heard me, so you probably will have to go down another lifetime and do this. And then you are revived by these beautiful surgeons here, so you have a second chance to do this like in this lifetime, while you already have figured out so many things here, and you don't have to be born into a new life like unknowing and try to figure it all out once more. You get a second chance of it. So that is kind of what I'm seeing. Not you dying, but it's like you will have an epiphany, or you will be like filled with this accelerating energy of power, like becoming, you can see this leaving over the staff. Actually, it's pictured here. I didn't see it. Here they come with the staff, and it give it to her here, that can be warm and generous, not only to herself, like selfish. This row is a little bit selfish, to be honest. Here it's not so selfish. It's more like, okay, so now I will do better. I will heal the hurt in the world because I have now the authority. I got the stick from you here, and now I have the authority to do it in another way, like a more healthy way. So I will read the Two of Wands for you. Two of Wands. It's the central energy of the reading, so it what holds here. So, the fiery, dynamic nature of Wands can find relationship difficult, but also highly creative. Just as the imposing hill figure of the long man of Wilmington in Sussex stands holding two staffs apart, creating the image of a doorway, so the Two of Wands represent the doorway of possibility that is open when you use the tension of relationship creatively. This could mean exploring the energy and potential that a partnership holds, or it may involve holding two ideas, projects, or feelings side by side, allowing the relationship between them to unfold and open up new areas of possibility. The power of this process is symbolized when High Priestess and priest face each other in the Wiccan ritual in the Druidry by the image of a door or a gateway. The Indo-European root for door is the same as that for duir, the oak from which the word druid may derive. And whenever a druid enters a grove or stone circle, they acknowledge the power of the two forces that stand to either side of them at the entrance. This card may suggest that although you are satisfied in having everything you need, you also long for more. Your hands are full. You possess both staffs, and yet in having them, you have created a doorway, and a part of you long to step through to explore a new world. You may be searching for a deeper meaning or contemplating taking a journey. You have a full material life and now wish to explore the spiritual dimension. The holding of tension can only last so long until it is suddenly released to a spectacular effect, like the Three of Wands that you had earlier. Perhaps this has already happened or soon will. A miracle can occur, a sudden change can take place that was quite unforeseen, or a decision can be made in a moment that resolved a long period of tension. Sometimes a tension that has been there for thousands and thousands of years. Okay, so I will take also a card from the Sacred Rebels Oracle for you, Aquarius. So we have two cards here. Bring it into form and trust yourself. And I will read one for you. It's this one. Trust yourself. Great. But you also got this, so you can check maybe out the meaning on internet. It might be showing there, or you can buy this Sacred Rebel. It's a beautiful beautiful deck, beautiful book. It holds a lot of healing processes that can help you free yourself from this pain here with the Three of Swords. So now it's a little bit too light, but we are soon ready. So I'm going to hold this in the shadow so you can see it. In other case it will be like that. You are wise. You know how to grow even without knowing how you know. Like the ancient forests, spectacular galaxies, and the acorn that becomes the oak. There you had it again, the oak. Druid. There is a natural intelligence for growth that is beyond logic and beyond reason. It just happens. At the deepest levels, we are governed by this force that is so palpable, it literally shapes the world. At the same time, it is so invisible that sometimes we forget its presence and worry that our mind have to work everything out for life to happen and for us to be all right. We can become unnecessarily anxious about our affairs and how life will unfold. This oracle brings the message that you are growing. You really are. Don't doubt it. Even if you don't see it yet, remember that so much is happening when the seed is still unbroken in the ground. Below the earth, it is summing up all the might, power, and force it needs to push above the topsoil and burst up into the light. It is essential for anything good to happen later on. Yet we don't see any of that. We just have to trust that things will happen when the time is right. So you're also being asked to trust in yourself. You know how to grow. Don't overthink things. It won't help you. Don't worry so much. You are doing a great job in this game of life. When you trust yourself, you relax and you can heed your own wisdom, insight and messages much more clearly and easily. So I'm thinking about something that I heard the other day. It was a person coming to another person saying, like it was two ordinary persons, and they were saying, one was saying to the other, you are like God here on earth, because the actions that you do and the words that you said is like the God force. One was actually a little bit drunk, and it was in movie called Happy Valley. Okay. It was getting to me because it was an epiphany, actually, that we are complaining so much. Where is God in all this? Why does he, she let it happen? But it's we who are God, sparkles of God. Like each and every one of us has one part of God inside of us. So it's we that are God and letting the world being in the shape that it is. And it's mostly because we are quiet with the things we really want to say and what we really mean. And we are like being well-educated, nice lambs that know how to fit in and to make no fuss, okay? And now we are asked to probably become more like lions, to be in authority and speak our truth without eating the other lambs, hopefully. So this oracle comes with particular guidance. You have a big destiny in this lifetime and much to experience. Sometimes you make the error of judging something that is unpleasant as negative or a mistake. It's not. It's just part of your greater hunger for experience. It doesn't mean you have to have a lot of it, but when you do, there, maybe you can tolerate this shadow, I hope. When you do, sometimes you make an error of judging something that is unpleasant as negative or mistake. It isn't. It's just a part of your greater hunger for experience. It doesn't mean you have to have a lot of it, but when you do, don't shame yourself for it. Simply let it be. Maybe it's just a fertilizer for your next step on the path. It's all part of your life process, and it's all a sign of growth. So to admit defeat or admit that I was wrong is very fertilizing. This oracle is also telling you not to resist any point of instability in your life. This even applies to your most treasured relationship or creative projects. The instability is just a growing pain because more consciousness, more love, and more light wants to infiltrate and pervade all parts of your life. The instability is not a sign of sickness but of growth, so don't fret. Instead, choose to flow and grow. Okay, so it's going to ask a lot of you, especially when it comes to bravery and to, you know, speak your mind when it's called for. My dear Aquarius, I hope this will help you, and I want you to take really, really good care. I'm grateful for you watching this far, and for all of you liking, commenting, and subscribing to my videos. I'm so forever grateful. And I invite you back to my mid-month September reading that I will perform in the beginning of September. It might be my last mid-month reading because it has only like half the viewers, and I am very, very overbooked with clients. So I might, if I get the signs that I need, this might be the last mid-month reading for at least some while. So I can catch up. So I want you to take really, really good care, and until we see each other again, and bye-bye.